Governor Christ was in South Florida this morning at the National Hurricane Conference. The City of Hollywood firefighters are gathering here today at the Fort Lauderdale Benevolent Association. The South Seas Island Resort was completely devastated by Hurricane Charlie 2 years ago. Good afternoon, I'm Sheri Falk, and this is your NBC6 4 o'clock update. There were actually 2 divers in the water off Key Biscayne. Amazingly, one of the divers survived, but the other diver died when the boat's propeller hit his leg. Well, there's just 16 days left until the hurricane season officially begins. Water levels across South Florida are going down, and now something else is on the rise. In total, police say they stole more than $1 million in jewels and watches. Do you ever use your debit card when you go out to eat? If so, you should know what some restaurants are doing when they swipe your card. We discovered here at NBC6 just how you may have been hit with a debit card hold.
This is the receipt from Ginger Grove.
When Trudy Ann Armand went out to dinner with her husband, something unexpected was added to her bill.
Our bill was $89 and change, and my husband tipped in cash. And when I looked online, it was $112 and change.
Trudy signed the bill. She thought she was only paying for dinner. She didn't see the debit card hold of more than $22 that appeared on her Bank of America statement later that night. The bank told her,
"This happens quite commonly where restaurants are charging in excess of the actual check to cover the tip," is what she explained. And I thought that was outrageous.
But it's legal. Some restaurants do this to make sure you have enough money in your account to cover the tip. You can't use the money that's being held. If you're not aware of it, you could overdraft your account and pay a fortune in fees. And it could also affect future purchases.
You would go somewhere and either have your card declined or bounce a check.
We discovered people all across the country are ending their meals with a debit card hold du jour.
I don't think the bank should allow it. They should hold them accountable.
Bank of America told us the merchant, not the bank, determines the amount to send through for debit card charges. So that takes us back to the Ginger Grove restaurant, where we placed an order to see if this would happen to us. It did. Our check was $44.01. We left the tip in cash, but on my Bank of America statement, I was charged $52.33, a difference of $8.32.
Depending upon how the debit card transaction is routed, it can take up to 72 hours for the transaction to actually post to the account. Once that happens, traditionally, the hold is released soon thereafter.
It took 4 days before Trudy's bank released the hold. The Ginger Grove restaurant told us that their cash registers are pre-programmed to add a hold to a customer's bill.
A restaurant, for like in this case, can go and punch in whatever amount they want, and that's okay with the bank.
The Federal Reserve tells us it's not okay unless the customer consents to it, and that it is in the fine print of your debit card agreement.
There really are 2 things that consumers need to keep in mind. First is just being aware that the hold exists. Secondly, you can always use a different form of payment.
We discovered that not all restaurants do this, so we suggest that if you're worried about a hold, pay the bill with a credit card or use cash. Sheri Falk, NBC6. When Anthony DiPolito returned home from a trip to Disney, his pet cat was nowhere to be found. After a day and a half, he knew something terrible had to have happened.
My first impression was that he had been hit by a car.
After chatting with a neighbor, Anthony's sadness soon turned to rage when he found out Bobcat's death was no accident.
She said that's where the 3 pit bulls were at.
You see, Anthony just so happens to be in the home security business, so he has multiple surveillance cameras set up around his home. And the attack was caught on this camera, and now all that's left is Bobcat's fur.
Here they come. Okay, now they're going to come around to the front of my car and chase my cat from here, and you'll see my cat run out of the frame right here, and that's whenever the other camera picks it up. You'll see my cat. Boom, there he goes.
What happens next was too graphic to show on television, but the surveillance video shows a mother pit bull and her 2 puppies ripping Bobcat to pieces in an attack that lasted nearly 5 minutes. This all happened on Saturday at 802 Northeast 39th Street in Fort Lauderdale. The pit bull's owner was not home today, but neighbor Robert Bayer says he's seen the dogs roaming around once before.
They didn't show any form of aggression.
Animal Control says their policy is to only remove an animal after 1 attack on a person and 2 attacks on a domesticated animal. But Anthony says he's worried that his 11-year-old son could be next.
My son is not allowed to play out here.
Residents say that fortunately this time the attack was only on a cat and not on a child. Animal Control says that all they can do is issue a citation. That basically means that the owner of the dogs will only have to pay a fine. I'm Sheri Falk, NBC6. It's not every day that you get to see the Coast Guard simulate a rescue out at sea.
Two of our helicopters, an HH-65 Dolphin helicopter and a HH-60 Jayhawk helicopter came out and dropped 2 rescue swimmers into the water.
That's just one of the amazing things people got to see today. There were also planes doing loops and rolls.
Until you see it over the ocean, you have no idea. I've been here since the beginning. I think it's like 13 years. And always right here in this spot. I got the best seat in the house.
That's the pilot of the Red Baron talking on his radio as he rolled and spun towards the ocean down below. But one of the most impressive demonstrations today was performed by
the Thunderbirds.
The Air Force Thunderbirds flew down in perfect formation as thousands of people sat within a few hundred feet of their wingtips.
The Thunderbirds, we have over a 50-year tradition and history of our team. We are based out of Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's full of history and tradition because it demonstrates to the American public and the world the air power and superiority that we have as an Air Force.
Sheri Falk, NBC6. The largest protest was on Capitol Hill, where demonstrators retraced a famous march that happened 40 years ago. Yesterday, another flight from Trinidad had problems with its flaps on the final approach to MIA. You may remember this story from last week. The 14-year-old's decomposing body was found stuffed in a trash bin along 8th Street. Today, they arrested her boyfriend, Eduardo Ramirez. He has been booked on murder charges. Police say they don't know what happened late Saturday night, but people who live along Northeast 15th Street say they heard screaming in the middle of the night. This is the 12th murder in Broward County since the new year began. Check out NBC6.net for updates throughout the day. I'm Sheri Falk. Have a great day.